Blog Talk Radio.
Well, we feel sorry for Odell Beckham Jr. Hopefully he can get back to his playing days in Cleveland. But right now, coming center stage in Cleveland is the American Sports History Podcast, hosted by my good friend Peter Ray. Yours truly, Mark Mancini, producing 347-205-9631. You can email mancinisports@yahoo.com. Without further ado, let me give him the podium, the mic, and the red carpet. Peter, first of all, how are you? Second of all, how can people get a hold of you? Third of all, boy, you've got a legend coming in as a guest today.
You're absolutely right, Mark. I'm doing well. I have a YouTube channel. It's my name, Peter J. Ray. I have a website, Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray. And tonight we have a mind-boggling guest. We were talking on the phone. I was trying to get a grip on his life and career in sports. He's been involved with a variety of sports, a variety of leagues, a variety of teams, and he's actually been an owner of professional sports teams, more than one, as far as I can tell. He walks in the footsteps of the giants like Bill Veeck, Charlie Finley, and P.T. Barnum. Welcome. It's an honor and a privilege to have on the show Mr. John Guy.
Thank you, Peter. It's good to be in Cleveland, at least in spirit.
Well, especially since Bill Veeck, is he's one of your one of the giants that you've been
I've always appreciated Bill and his son Mike. Mike Beck up in St. Paul, Minnesota, does a heck of a job also.
Now, Mr. Guy, can you tell us some of the sports and leagues and teams you've been associated and your positions over the years? I know there's an awful lot. Can you tell us some of them?
I started off in semi-professional football. From there, I went to professional indoor football. And from there, let's see, we did minor league baseball, basketball, minor league hockey, indoor lacrosse, and roller hockey, sure.
Now, what's interesting is sports or any sport is an activity that with rules and there's a way the game is played, and athletes at least professional athletes are those who are able to do well and well enough to be paid for it, and but they aren't known as particularly creative people. They put all their energies into that specific field. Although, and professional sports is entertainment, which is, and the name of the game is entertainment. Now, would you like to talk about some of the things that you've done over the years, some of the promotions that you've done that the fans enjoyed?
Well, Peter, I think that the one I am known for, if you Google my name, is Ted Williams' night, when I was the GM and part owner of the Bisbee Douglas Copper Kings, an independent team. Ted Williams, for those of you who do not know, upon his death, they froze his head. And it is cryogenically frozen in Scottsdale, Arizona. I sort of felt that, that was disturbing to me, but I would honor Ted and his frozen legacy by giving away free popsicles on Ted Williams' night. That brought out an ESPN sound crew. And, Sports Illustrated called it the second best minor league baseball promotion in the last 25 years or something. That we also did not have, obviously in Bisbee, Arizona, we didn't have a Jumbotron scoreboard. So I used mimes to do instant replays. And, that was kind of cool. Lost luggage night, your cheating heart night. They vetoed missing limbs night, where you would actually get 25% off for every limb that you were missing.
Did you now, Bill Veeck, guys like him, Veeck and Charlie Finley, they had a lot of conflict with fellow owners because owners of professional sports teams are guys who made some money in business and obviously but aren't known for being particularly creative, and very often they don't appreciate guys like Bill Veeck and Charlie Finley, although later on they end up, after they've spent time persecuting them and condemning them, they end up adopting the same things. So did you have problems with fellow owners based on your creative promotions?
Not so much, really. I was able to convince fellow owners that obviously it's much more pleasant to play in a full house than it is to play in front of relatives and wives, and that's what the average minor league fan, Peter, doesn't want to go to a game and watch a minor league sport. You don't know the players. The players aren't, for the most part, they're not going anywhere. If you're playing minor league hockey with the York, Pennsylvania Ice Caps, you don't know any of the players, and they're not going to go to the NHL. So why would you go to a York Ice Caps game? Well, you would go because of the entertainment value. I did We're Cheap and You Love It night in York, Pennsylvania, and I gave away imitation shrimp. Now, first of all, where in the hell do you get imitation shrimp? And secondly, why would you come and get that? But we had a full house in York for that game, simply due to the fact that people were buzzing.
It must have warmed your heart when the movie Bull Durham became popular about a minor league team.
Bull Durham, of course, Nuke LaRouche was based upon a minor league baseball player, Steve Dalkowski. I ended up meeting Steve's roommate. I had supper with him, actually, and the stories he would tell about his time in Stockton, California, with the incredible fastest pitcher ever known to baseball was just remarkable. But again, you didn't come out to see Steve Dalkowski make the big leagues. He never made the big leagues. You saw him come out to throw, 9 wild pitches in a game.
What did he hit, 110 miles an hour?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And he was a little guy. That's what was so remarkable. Steve Dalkowski was like 5'10". Little short, stocky guy who was an alcoholic.
Did you ever give away bobblehead dolls?
No, that's too common. For me, at least, it's too common. Number one, it's too common. Number two, it's too expensive.
Yeah, right.
Right. For Ted Williams night, I spent $20 and made national news and was live on ESPN for $20. Now, the quote that most people use in their news articles was, and it's true, that was much cheaper than hiring the dynamite lady. There was a lady back about 20 years ago that would blow herself up at minor league baseball games.
How did she do that?
She would put herself in a box with dynamite and detonate.
Okay. Now, you've described yourself as an organizer, and now what is it, if someone was interested in having a career similar to yours, what type of qualities would they have to be successful?
Well, minor league sports is all about networking. It's, as an example, Bing Russell. If you've ever seen, and it's a great movie, The Battered Bastards of Baseball, where Kurt Russell actually played pro ball. And his father, Bing, bought the franchise in Portland, Oregon for $500 and was able to do crazy stuff. That's what it's being in the right place at the right time. Major league organizations don't want someone who is that creative. I could never have worked at the major league level. Minor league was as high as I was able to go because I had no control over me. You get into an organization, unfortunately, and, you know, you've seen the movie Moneyball, and they go with a written script, whether it's scouting, whether it's signing, whether it's promotions. I don't like that.
So you're satisfied with your career. You wouldn't have wanted to be a major league owner or person involved.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not. The epitome of what I did and was still under some control. I was the assistant general manager of an indoor football team in Duluth, Minnesota, and it was as good as it gets. I got paid. The checks never bounced. I had fun. I participated at a professional level, and but that was a one and done. I didn't need to do it again. The Washington ex-Redskins were never going to call me, and I didn't expect them to, and I wouldn't probably have been real happy working promotions for them anyway. Did you
make any trades?
I once traded a pitcher out of Bisbee, Arizona for a popcorn machine. He got traded to Cananea, Sonora in Mexico.
Now you've got something coming up here the next year. You want to tell the audience about your this league you're organizing starting next March, I think.
4 years ago, I helped put a league together in Yuma County, Arizona, home of the Yuma Territorial Prison, and by the way, the only high school team in the world whose team name is the Criminals. But I digress. I put a league together of 4 teams, and we played exactly during Major League Spring Training. What that meant was that on the opening day of camp, when I had 326 ball players show up at $300 a pop, I had 6 MLB scouts behind the screen with radar guns.
Well, that sounds like a surefire winner because all these fellows are, that's pure genius. These guys are hoping to make it pro, and you get it's like tryouts for the pros.
We played a 5-week season, a short season. The players were all paid. They were professionals. I had an ex-New York Yankee playing in the league. He got rocked. But anyway, we were the only instructional league in the history of baseball that I know of where we signed 8 players to Mexican League AAA contracts. Those are guaranteed. One of our players went from one of my teams in Yuma, Arizona, into a $94,000 guaranteed contract.
In Mexico?
In Mexico.
Okay.
But again, that's AAA certified by Major League Baseball.
Right. So he's got a shot at the MLB.
Nobody goes from the California Winter League or the Carolina Winter League. Nobody goes from the Winter League to AAA ball. And yet I had 8 guys do it.
Well, that's I'm sure that enhanced your reputation.
I would imagine that when we do it this coming spring training in Arizona, we're going to have a decent turnout.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Do you have any stories? Now you said you were a Washington Senators fan as a boy. How did you deal with them going out of moving to Texas, right? What happened then with your fandom?
They moved twice. They broke my heart 2 times. They moved to Minneapolis and became the Twins, and then they moved to Texas and became the Rangers.
So the second Senators team you were devoted to as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can still tell you the complete lineup from the 1960s. You betcha.
Oh, you probably remember guys like Dick Bosman, who I think played for Texas.
I've got an autographed picture of Dick Bosman here in my study. Seriously.
Threw a no-hitter for Cleveland, and his career ended strangely, I think, because he was got involved in the union, and because he was pitching well, and then all of a sudden, no takers in '75.
Yeah.
But he's had a lot of success as a pitching coach.
Yes, he did. They also had Curt Flood, who was obviously big in the union.
So after the Senators left, there was a long dry spell in Washington. Did you have a team that you supported?
I did not. Well, briefly, back in 1977, I attached myself to the Toronto Blue Jays because they sucked. I'm only interested in teams that are really, really horrible.
Well, that's, it's like David and Goliath. Who roots for Goliath, right? Root for David, and that's why, it's nice with Mark Mancini. I'm always rooting for the Padres because they never won a World Series, and being in Cleveland, well, being an Indians fan means you're rooting, especially in the '70s, rooting for a lot of teams that weren't strong contenders.
The Padres did so much for independent baseball in the United States. They started it all. Mal Fishman was a scout with the Padres, and he was in charge of the independent leagues. Mal would come to games in Bisbee, Arizona, and sit next to me, and we would just sit there and look at ball players. He elevated leagues like the Frontier League and the American Association to major status as far as independent baseball was concerned by working with the Padres.
Well, I was thinking about Kurt Bavacqua and the bubblegum blowing contest. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. Well, Dirty Kurt, I knew him from his days as a minor leaguer. He played in my hometown of Indianapolis, Indiana. He was an Indian, a third baseman, and had the nickname Dirty Kurt. And boy, he got dirty every game. Oh, my God. He loved to play in the dirt, grabbing those grounders and everything else. He was a tenacious fielder. But, again, he was an oddball with the bubblegum chewing contest. You take a look at Major League players, and, there are some that there was one player, I'm trying to remember exactly who it was. Every baseball card of them had his fly unzipped. That was his trademark. That was his trademark. And, Billy Martin doing a baseball card, giving you the finger on the baseball bat on the card, and it went through. Great stuff like that. The Blue Jays had a pitcher that was miscorrectly identified on his baseball card. And the player was completely different from the factoids that they placed on the Topps bubblegum card. You got some crazies out there, and that's what makes the game fun.
I was thinking back in the 70s when these really well-known managers who would come out and storm and have these arguments with umpires, and the fans loved it. Billy Martin, there's a video of Earl Weaver that's on the internet, and it's just so funny. He comes out and it's hilarious. Guys like that and Lou Piniella, and that seems to have. Do they do that anymore? Our managers haven't, but because the fans used to love it because it was funny. That doesn't seem to be happening anymore.
It doesn't. It really doesn't. They're getting politically correct, I suppose. But some of the managers, like Billy or Earl Weaver, they had their favorite umpires that they would go after. And you knew you were in for a battle.
And that's funny because it seems like it was a show, that everybody enjoyed. And
remember the first African American major league umpire. It was Emmett Ashford.
Right.
And the reason Emmett was able to make the bigs was not because of his skill necessarily; it was his showmanship. He was a showy umpire, and that's what got him to the bigs.
Well, the interesting thing, going back to the Negro Leagues, is the Negro Leagues obviously appealed mostly to Black American, African American fans, and they didn't have much money, especially back in that time, the 1920s, 30s, and 40s when they played, and so it's not easy getting people's money, and especially when they don't have much. So the Negro Leagues were more entertaining. And then when you look at they'd be having showy plays, catch the ball like behind their back, and the interesting thing is when the blacks really started coming into baseball, they were stealing more. There was more stolen bases, and Jackie Robinson was just incredible because he'd get on first, and all of a sudden everyone's watching because he was a threat to take off, and people loved that. So they really, I think, since they knew they had to be more entertaining, they were. And then when they really came into MLB in the 50s and 60s. They changed the game and made the game a lot more entertaining.
You look at a team like the Indianapolis Clowns. They had a midget. They had female players. They did everything that you weren't supposed to do. And trivia-wise, for your listeners, the last Negro League player to make the big leagues came from the Indianapolis Clowns, 1977. Harry Chappis, and he was white.
Satchel Paige for the 48 Indians was, He had like
That's
3
right.
starts. He got like 200,000 fans came out to see him. 3 starts in Cleveland.
Yeah. You know, I mean, when the floodgates opened, and it killed the Negro Leagues, obviously. That and the advent of radios. When everyone had a radio, everybody had a transistor radio when we were kids, and you listened to ball games, and that helped put the Negro Leagues out of commission, because why would you go see a Indianapolis Clowns Kansas City Monarchs game when you could listen to the Cardinals and the Cubs on the radio?
You know, another thing comes to mind with entertainment and baseball is the San Diego Chicken and these mascots that have become prevalent. And we had the Philly Fanatic on. Do you want to talk about sport? Have you had any sports mascots on your teams?
No, I really haven't, Peter. But for those that are interested in mascots, I recommend going to the website of the Rhode Island School of Design, a 4-year college in Providence, Rhode Island, and take a look at their mascots, because they defy total explanation. I have no idea how they were able to get away with it.
Because?
Well, let's see. They have a different mascot for each sport. The Rhode Island School of Design hockey team, they are known as the Nads, N-A-D-S, as in go, Nads. And their mascot is a 6-foot-tall penis with a scrotum. Who goes through the stands. You can pick them up on the internet. They've had this mascot for God knows how long. Now the sailing team, or the seamen, of course, the basketball team are the balls, and no, it's look them up on the internet. Rhode Island School of Design, go Nads.
How about uniform colors? Did you get into very much these crazy color, like Cleveland had an all-red uniform at one time? When all this, after everyone imitated the Oakland A's, all of a sudden, everybody had colorful uniforms. And, of course, the Montreal Expos had a pretty cool cap, with the – what have you done with colors and uniforms?
I don't get into that much. What we did in Bisbee, Arizona, is we did a total. We did the 1958 uniforms. We did a complete replica. Our guys dressed in 1958 Bisbee uniforms. That was the last year of pro ball in Bisbee, Arizona, when they were a Dodgers farm club, and. Other than that, I don't get. I don't want it taken away from uniforms are uniforms. As far as I'm I do remember, however, the Chicago White Sox and their high collar jerseys. Those were stupid.
And short pants.
Yes. I mean, it was, I don't know. I mean, again, you have to ask yourself as an owner or a promoter, would fans come in to see ball players with shorts? They might once, but they're not going to come back game after game after game. No. The promoter's dream, in my opinion, for baseball has always been, if you could find a Hispanic, midget, switch-hitting, female, lesbian, you've got it all covered.
Our guest has been John Guy, a man who's walked in the footsteps of Charlie Finley, P.T. Barnum, and the other, Bill Veeck. Any final words for our audience, Mr. John Guy? We're out of time.
Stay crazy.
Stay crazy. That's good advice. Yeah, that's well, I think we're birds of a feather, because that's and of course that's can be controversial, but yeah, let's live our lives. We all have creativity, and let's be creative instead of being there's so much dullness in the world. Let's be creative. So thanks so much for coming on the show, Mr. John Guy, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Peter.
Dear listener, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I hope to keep continuing.
Right. Very good. God bless you. Dear listener, may the road rise to meet you. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Good night, everybody. Thanks again, Mr. John Guy.